confirmation, the former chief financial officer of VBS Bank, Philip Truter, been sentenced to 10 years in jail, 3 years suspended. You saw CFO Philip from the National Prosecuting Authority confirming that he'll serve 7 years behind bars after pleading guilty to fraud, corruption, money laundering and racketeering in connection with the corruption and theft that occurred that led to the collapse of VBS. But perhaps the most important part about all of this is that Truter has agreed to cooperate with the state, the prosecution, in its investigation, which means that he will be testifying against other people implicated in this. Dewald van Rensburg is a journalist, the author of the book VBS, A Dream Defrauded. It's a great title. Dewald, good afternoon to you. What role did Philip Truter actually play in VBS and the scandal?
Good afternoon, Stephen. Philip Truter's role was more or less technical, if you can put it that way. He worked at VBS for many, many years before the rest of the accused even got there. He was employed from 2005 onwards. So he was incredibly familiar with how the bank systems work, the software, the kind of back end of it. And essentially, he would take instruction in order to manipulate records. That was his role. He would be told, allegedly, to create fake money, to have R1 million appear in someone's account, for instance, and he would go and push the buttons and make that happen. So in a nutshell, that was his job, and that's what he was rewarded for, which he now admits he was rewarded for by pleading guilty.
It's quite a thing to do, to go into a computer system and just put $1 million, basically create a fake bank record. I would have thought it would be quite difficult. He must have had some power in the bank then. He certainly was in charge of the technicalities of it.
It was, well, you have to appreciate that VBS was not a sophisticated or large bank. I think it would be a great deal harder to do that kind of thing, at one of the major banks, if not impossible. This is a fairly small bank. It had, I think 200 odd employees in total, of which most would, be sitting at the front end dealing with customers and so on. So, relative to other financial institutions, it would not have been as hard as one would have hoped, clearly. I think he and a few other individuals could very well just by themselves do this through fairly straightforward manipulation if you have access to the system or, have authorization, put it that way.
How important is this development then? And what I'm really asking is, it would seem from what you're saying, if he took instructions, he might know who did what in the looting of VBS.
Well, that's why it is interesting that he is the one who has turned state witness. He should know how money was moved. He should know where fake money was put. A lot of that is incredibly hard to follow. I've tried to do that in this book I've just published. So it's not just about money being given to these top 5, executives everyone knows about and who have been arrested. There was quite an intricate system of moving money through the bank to various shelf companies and so on. And he should probably know who those companies belong to or who they actually paid money to. So he would, I believe, be an invaluable source of information on who got paid, not just within the bank, but outside the bank, when you're talking about municipal officials and other politicians that, his names have been bandied about. Well, imagine he would have a lot to say.
Sounds like we'll be taking that evidence live when he gives it then. So if he then testifies, and the Hawks now have this agreement, and the NPA now has this agreement, and I tried to push CFO Philip on this a few moments ago, he wouldn't go very far, but do you think it prepares the ground for more arrests, or will it only help convict, if that's the case, convict the people who've been arrested already?
I think it's both. Perhaps there's a third element to it as well. The evidence itself could firm up some arrests that I think are in the pipeline. Because now you have admissible evidence that kind of strengthens the case. It could, I think, obviously it will be part of the case the NPA takes to trial against the other 7 accused that have already been arrested, which would be the chairman and executives, other board members of the bank. But I think it also serves as a tool to make other people come forward and seek bargains as well. Tomorrow morning in the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court, the 7 other accused that have been arrested are going to appear. And I'd be interested to see if any of them stay to their unequivocal plea of not guilty, which they indicated they would make. It would be interesting to see if anyone else turns, so to speak. Of course, their deal would not be as favorable as the one Truter got, which, that he halved his minimum sentence and he's going to be in a single-man cell. But, I think this could tell a lot of people that the game is up and it's better to come clean to some extent.
There were really 2 legs of the VBS issue. I don't know why I keep using the phrase legs when it comes to VBS, but you have people who received the money, they stole it, they spent it, they gave it to people, and there are people who decided the money should move from municipalities, but primarily in Limpopo, but also too in Gauteng. So the money was in other banks, municipal money, then it went to VBS. Now those people, that's where the political aspect of this lies, the ANC people in the main. Do you expect politicians to be arrested for what happened here?
Yeah, I do expect politicians to be arrested, and I think everyone's aware of the 2 everyone expects will be arrested, which would be Daniel Masiza and Florence Ratzelani in Limpopo. I cannot say with certainty if they will be arrested or be arrested first, but one anticipates that if any politician gets arrested, it would be them. Apart from that, a large number of municipal officials and functionaries will almost certainly get arrested. We've already seen the arrest of Thys Winnekes from Merafong municipality on the charge simply of not following the Municipal Finance Management Act, which is true, when he invested money in VBS. Now, the same charge could very easily be leveled on the same evidence against dozens, if not scores, of other municipal officials in Limpopo and Gauteng. The evidence is there, forensic investigations have been done. It's as simple as following email trails of people, pushing the button to deposit money in VBS Bank. So I anticipate there might be a fairly large roundup of functionaries. The arrest of Thys Winnekes, the first of these functionaries, was, I think, strategic. They want to use him and people like him to also get cooperation, as they have done with Truter. So you might see a kind of strategic approach from the NPA.
Dewald van Rensburg, thanks very much indeed, author of that book about VBS, The Dream Defrauded. I do appreciate the time.